So it's been a wee while since we've done like an actual story time, and it's pretty cool because it's my story time. Or it's not really my story time.
You're in it.
Yeah, well, I'm in it,
yeah.
but no, I'm the DM.
Oh,
so this is the first time I've DM'd a game in literally years. And I think the boys really enjoyed it. So let's see all their perspectives, and then I'll tell you my version of events, and then we'll talk about the system and whatnot. But let's just get into this, will we?
So this is from Mittens.
AKA the fat cultist.
Be me. Loves taking figures of speech literally. Boys and I are invited to play MÖRK by Neckbeard. Neckbeard shows us a bunch of random classes. See cultist class with female artwork and laugh as it reminds me of modern pagan worshippers, except it's skinny. Easy fix.
I mean, look, he's not long, if I be honest.
No, he's not. I'm telling you. Be obese as fuck, female cultist Kyla, worshipper of one of the two-headed basilisks, and easily prefer the right head.
Look, there's two basilisks, and they both got two heads, so, look.
Neckbeard tells me to roll random background and receive runaway wife of a noble that is given singular ash tea bag that will turn the drinker into a skeleton. Promise to Neckbeardia that I'll use it in his game. Collecting random shit that the basilisk demands in grift when eventually gets called for public service. Show up to meet the seer, advisor of the Silent King, and not me, under-equipped blood knight, murder hobo gunman who looks thirsty, an autistic nomad barbarian. Tell us we got to rescue some boy in caverns below Grift, and that there is cannibal cultists, probably of some shitty demon with one head. Drink wine and eat until the Blood Knight is given a rusty-ass longsword, which looks like it'll break, and puts away his perfectly well-made short sword, what an idiot, and the autistic barb, Nomad, is told, shut the fuck up, at his request, to talk to the Silent King. With little comprehension, and he is called Silent for a reason. As I'm about to finish my wine, Sears blows dust in my face, and a familiar chloroform sensation comes over me. Ah, yes, maybe I'll get pregnant and can sacrifice my future spawn to the right head of the basilisk. Awaken in the caverns. Disappointingly feel the same. Others are awoken simultaneously. Fuck it. I got no fetus for my lord. I'll just ask him what he wants. Set up a ritual quickly, close eyes, and pray on my fat-covered knees to ask what gift I should give. Basilisk tells me he wants a singular valve of a troll's heart, but slides a spoon of starvation into my sweaty, unwashed cleavage. Struggle to get back up again as the Blood Knight and the murder hobo gunman enter the next room as the nomad barbarian stares in the corner of the first room as if he has water on his brain like a dog. Must have hydrocephalus. As my knees pop on my ascension, hear gunshot in the next room and roll my fat ass down there, grabbing at a sacred scroll of unlifting and begun chanting as I see three cannibals combating the Blood Knight and the murder hobo. My magic works. Let out a cackle of fat laughter. Watch as my magic that is meant to target four of them coalesce into only one of them, and fizzle on his face for minimum damage. Fuck. Get slapped upside the head by a cannibal and fall down. My weight makes my impact all the greater and I'm barely hanging on to life. As the fight continues with the murder hobo gunman and the Blood Knight, shoot and Rusty slash the cannibals. I call on my magic again and I feel it unable to gain form, and the basilisk's voice in my head stating I was shit out of luck for the next hour. Attempt to stab a cannibal, but I'm too fat, and he reads my movements with an easy deflection. As Blood Knight and gunman finish them off, I finally am able to pour another glass of wine and eat a sandwich. As I eat and drink, I boil a nice kettle of water to make a single cup of tea. Nomad Barbarian's liquid in his head seems to subside as he enters the room. I turn to the murder hobo gunman, who I'm sure is thirsty due to some of the blood leaking out of his body. I offer him the tea to replenish his fluids. After the first gulp, he is scalified, and my chin shake with laughter. He seems to be okay with it since he isn't dripping blood on the floor anymore. With the Nomad Barbarian and the Blood Knight rushing into the other room to kill some random guy in there, I continue to drink and eat to fill my gullet. Come to the hallway where more cannibals are attacked by my three colleagues. The Blood Knight coats his rusty sword with blood. The Nomad Barbarian awkwardly thrusting his giant Zweihander due to the low ceiling hallways. and the skeleton gunman firing bullets after bullets into cannibalistic brains. I continue to eat and drink, as I wonder if there are any clove cigarettes down here. Eventually, the three come upon a trap door that only the skinny skeleton can fit in, as I suspect. Underneath their plate armour, the Blood Knight and the Nomad Barbarian are also as beasts as I am. Eventually, Skeleton climbs out and we continue on our way through these tunnels and into a room with a large liquid tar pit. See movement in liquid tar pit. Fuck that. Liquid tar is volatile as fuck. Pour 7 hours worth of lantern oil onto it and into the trail and setting it alight remotely in another room. Feel explosion, hear hissing of a dying creature. Re-enter the tar pit room that has a greatly depleted amount of tar, with what is remaining still burning evenly. Gleefully laugh as my body jiggles. Skeleton gunmen and I continue on and come upon some prisoners who fucking tried to touch my body without consent while I am conscious, and I guess the skeleton is being choked out by them. I didn't run away from my husband to only be treated with such misogyny elsewhere. I set them on fire and they release the skeleton gunmen from their throat groping. Continue on and a young boy eating some marrow out of a tibia bone, but he scampers off as my 3 colleagues scare him away with their demeanours.
More than the shot at him.
Yeah. Continue after to the boy into your room that the Neckbeard labels as the dumping room.
Yeah, that's actually that's
your fault.
that's
your fault.
I just called it like a dump room, like a, you know what I mean, like just.
Yeah, but they don't have that.
Oh, do they
in
not?
America?
Do they not have like just a, you know, like a shit room,
No.
like one that just like a
I know
spare
Mittens
bedroom?
is an American, sure he's not.
What?
Mittens is
no,
an
no, but he lived in Scotland for years.
Oh, did I? Well, he should know. And he's the one who done it. Oh yes, Neckbeard has used a figure of speech. It is my out of character time to shine. Immediately enter room and remove pants to take a shite. The sight and fumes scare off the others, who with great effort amongst the 3 of them are able to shut the door as I finish my bodily function of taking a dump. Eventually finish, but continue to Winnie the Pooh it with no trousers. And continue to look for a boy as the others shudder behind the door at my feminism. Find him and his half-brother who claims to be the leader of the cannibals. He tells me he has been under the caverns for the majority of his life, and he just requires some of his brother's blood. I prick the boy's finger and give the small droplets of blood to the cannibal leader. I congratulate him on being a great brother, and instead of sacrificing his brother, he is merely taking a drop of blood. I tell him that a feast is required. The cannibal leader begins bringing out his finest body parts. I request Troll's heart for our meal. The cannibal leader, the boy, and I all tuck into this delicious heart, as I pocket one of the valves to give to the basilisk later. I gift the cannibal leader my spoon as he seems to have no utensils, which he proceeds to have to eat with. As we conclude our meal, my 3 colleagues break into the room and begin attacking the cannibal leader. I chase after the boy who runs into the butler elevator / dumb waiter. I cut the cords as he tries to escape and whisk him out of the small elevator. I place him between my tits, and we watch as my 3 colleagues murder his half-brother, the cannibal leader. Upon the final breath of the cannibal leader, an illusionary image of the seer appears in each of our 4 minds. We are told we did well, and are given 100 silver each before being chloroformed once again. I awaken in an extra-wide, shallow grave, where 3 unfamiliar faces gaze down upon my fat body.
I like to think that he put his trousers back on by this point, but I'm going to assume no.
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 Psst. Hey, lean in closer. This is fucking ASMR channel now. You know what's pretty fucking based? Titties. Go see titties. Lots of titties.
All the titties.
Go over to the website, check out all the models. You guys know the score. We have some really nice looking models over there. And we have a lot of...
It's sci-fi gothic.
Yeah.
Let's call them sci-fi gothic.
And if models isn't your shit, we have loads of subclasses and we keep adding them every other week or so. We add a lot.
We got a lot.
Look, we've got big brains. We add shit. But yes, go over to the website, check out everything. If you haven't subscribed, what the fuck you doing? Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell as well, and let's get back to the video. Every week we're going to be doing a giveaway of the new pin-up model of the month, or if models isn't your thing, all of our homebrew content. If you want to be in with a chance to win the giveaway, all you need to do is subscribe. That's it. Hit the subscribe button. That's it.
Do it now.
But last week's winner was this guy. Well done! Yay! Round of applause. Everybody stands up and claps. But enough of that. Let's get back to the video. So this one's from Mr. V. Start of the session. With the party clearly evil, we started in front of a random NPC who needs us to go rescue the king's son from carnivores. The NPC promised a reward for anything that we want. Problem is, 3/4 of the party are murder hobos, with one of them wanting to not only want to kill the king, but his kin as well. Also, the world is in an apocalypse crisis. Barbarian. Can we meet the king somewhere private? Completely helpless. I meant unarmed.
Yeah, it was straight off the bat. It's like, yo, can we go meet him? It's like, no, Jonathan, you can't meet the king. You're already getting the job anyway.
So it's him he wants to kill.
His automatic reaction is like, can I kill him? It's like, I don't know if you're going to meet him, but sure, like, we'll see. We'll find out when we get there, right?
Cultists. I need more people for my demon masters to sacrifice. Blood Knight. Blood for the blood gods. Musketeer. Gun. The NPC looked at us completely disappointed and said, well, if you all survive for the child untouched in the sense of having all his limbs, then we'll see.
Well, I did. I went for the unspoiled. You can't, no cutting legs off, no fingers, no nothing, alright?
After that whole mess, the party agrees and goes to the carnivore's hideout. The party made it to the entrance, but right before we walked in, the cultist asked for favours of her demon lords. I vaguely remember him getting a dildo and something else. Now she has to sacrifice someone to her demon lords.
Right, so I rolled on a random table and they got like a wooden idol that like was phallic shaped, so we just said it was a big dildo, right? And then we said, you know what, that's actually really shit because the whole class revolves around getting gifts from their patron.
Yeah.
So I let him roll on another table and he got a spoon that if you eat from the spoon or if you use the spoon, after 2 days you'll starve to death. Pretty cool.
Oh. About 3 steps in, we were ambushed by the savages. Both the Blood Knight and the Musketeer fend them off while the cultists attempt to cast spells, but constantly failed while the Barbarian goes AFK in a corner like any good RPG.
Yeah, this is him that's talking. He's like, "Oh man, sorry, I need to give my fiance a lift into work here. Sorry, guys." It's like I'm just going to be mucking about how much I want to kill the king. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'll be back in a wee bit.
As soon as the battle began, the Musketeers was stabbed multiple times and edging closer to death while the Blood Knight made the blood gods happy. As soon as the battle ended, the Barbarian returned repeating, "I'm going to kill the false king," or other ranting of his village being purged. After the first fight, the party attempted to recollect themselves due to one of their party members on death's door. The cultist comes up and gives the Musketeer some special juice that you have your imagination for. Immediately he drank it, rolled a save, and was transformed into a skeleton, with more HP than he started.
He didn't get a save, it was just a flat out, you turned into a skeleton. I'll explain later.
With the party newfound strength, we adventured deeper into the area, while chopping off the head of a paralysed man for murder hobo reasons.
They didn't even try to talk to him, I'm not even joking. It's like, who is he?
You know why? They're getting you back, James.
No, because I just said...
No, because Jonathan has been a DM for you. Tail has been a DM. They're getting you fucking back.
No, because all I said was, like, you know, he's sitting there, he's stock still. Is he responsive? No, but he's clearly alive. And it's like, oh, right, sweet, so you can kill him, yeah? It's like, yeah, sure, I guess so. Ah, there we go, job done. Anyone want a new pair of, like, orthodox priest robes? They look pretty cool, yeah?
He didn't really have anything. I just felt like it. A little bit down, another fight bursts out with 2 skeletons, but it was quickly stopped by the Blood Knight and Barbarian. Fuck's sake, Jonathan. As one tried to surrender, but we all said, "Take no prisoners," and decapitated the guy. Remember, it's not a war crime if they're not people.
Well, they were people. They weren't skeletons, they were people. Like, but to be fair, they were blood crease, sort of cannibal.
All is calm. The party decides to investigate the area, finding just food and junk, but the Musketeer activated a trap, sending him below the room into a small tunnel, while the cultists found a small boy that fits the description of the king's son.
Oh, do you want to know what they... Okay, look, we'll get there.
Hold on.
We'll get there.
And attempts to pull him into their chest, but was too slow. Therefore, the boy escaped, running away with good reason. The rest of us attempted to go down the small tunnel, but due to most of us wearing armour, and the cultist being obese, we couldn't. The musketeer found himself in a green, very vegetated garden, and was soon greeted by a hippie witch. They discussed on what just happened, and the musketeer learned that the hippie also hated the person in charge of the carnivores. So she made a deal to turn the musketeer back to human if he kills the chieftain, which the party was probably going to do anyway. So she just handed him a potion and tells him it will turn him back into a human. Afterwards, the musketeer met up with the party, and the cultists found another path with a tarp-like substance blocking the way.
Tar-like substance.
Tar.
Tar, yeah.
Okay. The cultist in real life is scientists that work with chemicals all day. So the obese cultist took her body oil, pour it all over the oily tarp.
Why is it funnier if it's tarp?
And we all back up while she set the tarp ablaze. With a sigh from James, she causes a massive explosion that almost made the entire place collapse.
There were literally one, like, so the BORG, it's a 12 is a standard for anything. They got a 13.
Oh, right.
So no cave-in, no locks on head.
Don't.
On that day.
The musketeer immediately went to check the witch. She was unharmed, but asked what happened. Skeleton Bro informed her, and to his surprise, she flipped out and attempted to stab him, which he reacted by blowing her fucking brains out.
Yeah, it was like the first time, I'm not even joking, it was like, it was insane.
When the party eventually returned to the tarp, we see a grotesque monstrosity burning and stretching before eventually dying off. Sometimes it pays off being a whore. We proceeded through and found where the carnivores kept their prisoners. A kitchen with human parts covered the hanging racks as the musketeer hears rumbling from the pantry. Him and the cultist opens to see the prisoner of the carnivores. What we saw was deranged lunatics that were missing limbs, not well fed and begging for mercy. The party was about to discuss what to do. Sick, Jonathan. Get spell check, my God. But the musketeer and the cultists were grabbed by the prisoners, being choked through the cages. With 2 attempts with the Blood Knight and barbarians stabbing the prisoners, the 2 managed to escape, but the cultist was pissed off and offended for being groped by the prisoners. So, she repeated what she did to the tarp monster. Remember, kids, it's not all war crime if it's in self-defense.
Yeah, so they set over 20 prisoners on fire.
Ugh. After that, we went deeper into the madness and discovered a waste room filled to the brim with bones and trash. This is when the cultist said, "Finally a bathroom," and proceeded to take her panties off, now wearing nothing below, and shit. The barbarian threw up, and the party rushed back out, using the statue we moved to discover that room in the first place. The barbarian and the musketeer barricaded the cultists in the now known as the shit room. After a while of hearing a cow give birth, the cultists found another door to the room, which so happens to have the carnivore's chieftain and the king's son talking. The chieftain demanded to know why the cultist was here while licking his lips. The cultist replied by, "I'm the new cook, and I'm here to feed both of you and the child." Which the chieftain said, "That's great, I'm starving." With this, then the barbarian removed the barricade and yelled, "Are you finished, whore?" Then proceeds to vomit after seeing the large shit in the middle of the room. That's when the chieftain yells back to us, "Who goes there?"
See, now you guys understand why I don't really like live streaming games.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now you know.
Now you get the idea.
The cultist, in a rush, said, "They are my assistants and guards," which calmed down the chieftain and allowed the rest of the party to walk into the chieftain's room and introduce themselves. The chieftain explained how he is the bastard son of the king, and he will overthrow the king with the help of his half-brother. He also stated he needed blood from the royal family to become stronger. Now the barbarian wanted the king and his kin to all die, and he RNG rolled 3 bottles of poison. Barbarian: "Let me assist you in making food. You need more spices added to make the flavours stand out. Do not worry, I have a bottle from my people who grows a special type of spice." Proceeds to pour poison onto the chieftain's food, which James wanted to roll for stealth, but the cultist pointed out that the chieftain shouldn't be able to see the poison due to being far away. Nor would he be suspicious since the chieftain is starving. Which James allowed the bullshittery.
It was like, you know what, yeah, sure, right on. That's, yeah, okay, give me a good argument. There we go.
The chieftain with the poisonous food had failed to save, which almost killed him right out. He got up and yelled for his guard, which none came because we murder-hoboed them all. The last fight begins with the boy running to a lazy butler to escape, while the pantyless and clearly didn't wipe good enough cultists chase him, while the rest of us began kicking the shit out of the mostly dead big bad evil guy. After 2 rounds of the cultists smothering the king's son between their breasts and the chieftain getting decapitated by the rest of the party, a very quick boss fight due to poison and barbarian tanking the damage. With the mission complete, one of the king's court mages teleported a hologram in congratulating us with a smug smile. The barbarian didn't know it was an illusion and attempted to decapitate him, but nothing happened. The party asked for their rewards and the mage simply said, "Your reward is surviving to the next world." And before any of us could say, "Bullshit," we were knocked out, to only awake in a coffin, opening up to the skies as if someone had just dug us out of our graves. We soon see 3 weird faces as the game came to a close.
One of the things I find interesting about these is because all the stories are completely different. And I think I played the one game, but everyone's got like a very slightly altered. So let's see what the next one's all about, will we?
So this one's from Dry. First ever MÖRK board game. Be me. Humble blood knight that was too poor for his Y-hander, so I got a short sword. Image related. Be not me. Retarded barbarian. A hobo with an arquebus. And a fat troglodyte of a cultist. No one in the party is forklift certified.
No, they're definitely not. We're missing tail, actually. Shit, I forgot.
We get hired to rescue some kid by the overseer. I ask for a better sword before we leave. Get a rusty longsword. It'll buff. Better than a fucking femur. We got KO'd by crack blown in our faces. I forgot what it actually was, but fuck it, it's crack. We're in some shithole place underground and go opening doors. Find some stinky food. Not good for eating. Barbarian opens a door and some crack zombinos attack us. They ain't shit. We easily kill them and take a short break to rest up. Fat fuck makes fat fuck tea and the hobo drinks it, becoming spooky skeletal. We go into another room with some dude. We kill him. More zombinos would barge from the hallway, also killed instantly. We find a hole that only skeletal can fit in, so he goes in. Find some dumb herbs bitch, make a herb that unskeletals him, but hobo doesn't drink it. Get word of some thingamajig and some guy named Frank. Forgot his name.
Sure. His name was Fletcher.
Forgot his name. It's not important. We find a hole filled with tar and some creature, and Fat Fuck fills it with her fatty oils. We step away as she lights up the oils and blows up the fucking hole. Place almost collapsed, as if the weight of this fat lard wasn't enough to tip the balance of the planet's gravitational pull. Hobo is humans again, so goes to check on her bitch. Tells her we killed the hole monster. She goes insano and tries to kill him. Knife versus gun. Figure it out. She is headless now, and we go to look for more stuff. We find what is the dump room, all filled with bones and shit. Fat Fuck figures this is the latrine. Drops trousers and lets out the nastiest shit ever. Could probably kill a grizzly bear from the stench alone. She finds the boy we're after, while the rest of us lock him in the room. Fucking Frank, Roger, who gives a shit, is also there. Figuring this out, she does some shit to distract him, like poisoned food. Frank Rogers eats the poisoned food, and is kind of fucked by it but still standing. Combat ensues, where Barbarian, Hobo, and I storm in to kick Frank's ass. Fat Fuck goes to rescue Boy trying to run away. Frank is now named Fire as we stomp him out. If I can recall, Hobo got the final blow. To be honest, kinda blanked out a bit here and there. Just here to kill shit. We get payment and whatnot after bringing the boy back to the Overseer. Instantly given Rohypnol again, as we're dug out of the grave with 3 goofy ass bitches looking at us. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
I told you guys, it's very different. Every story is different. And let's get into the next one, will we?
So this one comes from Dorf. Play MÖRK board for the first time. Be me, murder hobo, with an arquebus. Be not me. Mentally unhinged barbarian. Blood knight with way too much armour. Obese cultist bitch. The party is just fully insane. Backstory. We got dragged off the street to save the king's son. We got dropped off at the cultist base where the kid is kept at. First off is the equipment. Nobody needs anything besides Blood Knight, but he just gets a rusty sword. The place is a shithole, but what do you expect from cannibal cultists? Check couple rooms and suddenly first combat with berserkers which had more Flintstone gummies than recommended, aka they're off their shit. We go first. I use the gun to do gun things and shoot them. Barbarian's planet needed him for a moment. Obese cultists missed everything and Blood Knight is probably the best tank we could ask for. Berserkers slowly get torn apart via smack from a femur and a constant arquebus blasts. After combat, it's time for a quick rest since we all got hurt pretty bad. I decided it's a good idea to drink some tea the obese bitch cultist offered me, and I end up becoming a fucking skeleton. Actually beneficial as I have more HP than previously. Still acting salty towards bitch cultists though. Go to the dining room with rancid food in it and dispatch an orthodox priest because he was quiet. Check out hallway. The hallway hides 3 berserkers, which we dispatch with the use of gun and melee. We see some bizarre paintings, and my first reflex is to recolour it using a gun.
Yeah, he just shot the painting. It said, look, in the book, it said, if anyone does anything to the painting, it activates the trap. So, right, there you go.
Explore him while the others stay above the situation. Find some herbalist chick, and she brews me de-skeletonization potion and gives me 2 healing potions. I take them all into inventory and decide to stay a skelly for a while. Go back because we notice an unopened door. It has insane cellmates. Motherfucker tried to choke me out. In retaliation, we burn them alive while I shoot their kneecaps. Moving on, one of the caverns has a pit with a tower reaching from it, with 2 skeletons vibing on it with violins.
He's the first one to mention this. The first one out of 2 of them so far. They completely forgot. See, this is the shit I'm on about. It's like there's so much that they just don't.
The cultist does a vibe check in the form of almost destroying the whole area via some bullshit. With a huge monster fucking died, so I go to report the herbal check to see if I get something. She gets extremely angry and tries to attack me with a knife. I gently persuade her to stop using gunpowder, a lead ball, and an arquebus making impact at high speeds with her head. She was persuaded to stop living, to say the least. While that was happening, the party got some torture chambers and some cliff edges in the cavern, where there was some huge-ass statue, and oddly well-built everything. Destructive instincts kick in, and first idea is to yeet the statue off the cliff. The floor tilts and I survive by surfing the statue. Some room reveals itself, with an autistic child eating human meat. It scurries off like a cat when I couldn't hit it. The room it goes to ends up being some fucking storage for bones. The obese cultist gets the bright idea that it's a toilet and starts taking a shit.
You know, that's the one thing that they've all mentioned.
Remembered
that's
that
the one.
She took a shit.
Yeah, that's the one thing that everyone's like, oh yeah, that happened actually. Yeah. Mittens took a big shit. One of them forgot about everything else.
Me and the barbarian decide to lock that bitch up there. The final boss says some shit about being some heir to the throne, blah blah blah, and he has to use the king's child's blood to be the rightful heir, blah blah blah. The cultist bullshits her way in defeating him with a spoon that will eventually starve him to death, but that death is too slow, so the murder hobo decides to remove him. The combat can be dumbed down to the obese cultist suffocating a child with tits, and the others killing a big fucking guy. After we're done with that, we try to get out or something and get some cash. Next thing I remember is being dug out of a grave with 3 crackheads looking down at me.
Well, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Oh.
Okay, do you guys want to hear my version of events? Right, what actually happened. So, the premise of what's going on. This is the adventure from the back of the Core Rules book called Lot Black Sludge. I think it works. It's actually pretty fun. So if you guys, well, it's a bit late to say spoilers, isn't it? But I changed up a lot of stuff. So the basic premise was, so at the end of the world, the king has got a lot of stuff going on, and he really doesn't care. Like, yeah, his son's gone missing, like it's clear, but like the world's going to end in a couple weeks anyway. So like he's kind of got a lot of other stuff. So it's more the seer that's more interested in doing this. So he's just like essentially think of this like jury service. like just lifting people off the side of the street and be like, yeah, you gotta go on, let's life into them and get that sorted out. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Bit of a smug fella, to say the least. Anyway, so it's the party's turn to go ahead and do this. They get debriefed, they get chloroformed, and they get dumped at the start of the dungeon for reasons that the boys are lethal at just fucking about. And I was like, you know what, I just need to get them from here to there, so I'm gonna have to Shanghai them. I'm sorry, guys. So anyway, they go ahead, the cultist gets her wooden phallic object that she'd never used and a spoon of starvation, which they put to good use. Anyway, so they enter in, they go into the first room, and the first room's got a few skeletons, it's got some stuff on the walls. They don't actually do anything in here, like there was a lot of stuff, but they never bothered. The cultist got some bone parts, if I remember, some list bone parts. Anyway, all well and good, they continue on, they go into the next room, there's some guards. They're kind of like, the way I would describe the guards is, I think like 28 days later, but more methy, but they're still alive somehow. I don't know how they're still alive, but trust me, they're still alive. Anyway, so they go ahead, they deal with that, they survive somehow. One of them almost dies, I can't remember which one. They take a rest, all well and good. They go ahead, they go into the next room, they find it's like a room, it's full of, there's like a dining hall of sorts, but it's full of rotten food. And there's a, let's describe him as an Orthodox priest sitting by the end. Stock still, he's definitely alive, but he's almost motionless. And their automatic response is to execute him. So I was like, alright, fair enough, go ahead, go for it. The next thing they do is they go down a hallway and they find more of these guards. They dispatch them very easily. There wasn't any issue with that. On the side of the wall, they come across a painting, and their first thought is, we should shit this, and of course they do, and it activates the trapdoor, leads them into the next area. They can go two ways. There's one way that has, like, it's a very narrow hallway that only the gunman could go down, so he went ahead, he went down that. He ended up talking to this hippie chick. The hippie chick wants, she wants Fletcher gone. She's really interested in the tar pit and wants the creature for herself. She kind of like worshipped it in a weird way. She promises him a few bits and pieces, and you know, they didn't hold up well on their end of the bargain, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, they continue on, they find the tar pit room, and I suppose it is tar, so they set it on fire, and they were two off the whole place, rocks falling on heads, calling it in for the day. But it didn't happen like that, so I'm happy. You know, that was pretty cool. Anyway, they continue on, they find that butchery room, nothing much there, and they move on. Again, there's another room, and they come across a statue of a king, and the first reaction is to fuck the... this is just fuck the statue off into the tar pit, but it's actually lucky because you're supposed to move that statue anyway, and that's how it opens up two doors, the dump room and the child's holding cell of sorts. They go in, the child's there, he's like eating all these body parts, he's got like fingers and chewing on bits, and you know, he's having an alright time, and he turns around and starts asking questions, but of course Gunman just shits at him, so he legs it, and he runs as fast as he can, and he gets away. Then we have the infamous dumping room, which turned into a literal dumping room. I think you guys have heard enough about that bit, so let's move on. And again, of course, we get to the last room where the cultist goes on in, and of course Fletcher turns out and he's like, yo, hold the fuck up. And she says, no, I'm a new cook, been sent down, don't worry about it. Also, by the way, I'm a bit of a priest of the occult, you know, I know a few bits and pieces. And he says, oh, excellent, you know what, I've been looking for one like you. And of course he needs a priest of sorts to perform the ritual. He needs his half-brother's blood to claim his rightful spot as the true heir. After all, he is the oldest. But of course the cultist tricks him, gives him the spoon that makes you starve to death, but of course that's not murdery enough for them, and they decide, you know what, fuck that, let's just butcher him. And that's kind of what they did. They butchered him. The child tries to escape in a lazy butler going up through past the pump house, but this manages to stop them, and the rest of the murder hobos do their murder hobo thing. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. So of course they kill them, kill the big bad, all well and good. The seer pops up in the mind's eye again, and explains to them, well, you know, look, very good going. You guys have sorted this out very nicely. So what I'm going to have to do is we're going to take the child. The only thing is the king has gone a wee bit mad, and he's really obsessed with this prophecy of the end of the world. The seer, on the other hand, doesn't believe it'll be the end of the world, and he thinks that someone needs to go talk to the basilisk to, you know, maybe iron a few things out and sort a few bits out. But of course the king doesn't want that, so the seer needs to get away to move these people and fake. So he fakes their deaths, he makes it look like they died, and they've been dug up about 5 days later. So they have, oh, if we have a session 2, that's where we're going to start off on our long journey to find the basilisk. And I don't want to say too much because the boys are going to watch it, so I can't really give you much else. But I've got a good few ideas, and I really enjoyed DMing it. And honestly, if you guys have stayed this long, then not bad, pretty cool. I would definitely recommend check out MÖRK. There's a lot of people that do not like MÖRK, and they argue it's an art book disguised as an RPG, and it's too lightweight the rules. But you know, it was actually really nice to DM something and for everyone to be able to play, and like, you know, no one needed to actually look at the rules once. It was like we just did it and we all had fun. And you know, there's so many expansion rules to it, and I love this. I love the aesthetic. I love the what they're going for. This video is not really meant to be talking about the joys in BORG, but I think, I don't know what it was. I don't know, did I enjoy DMing more, or was it just a new system that I really enjoyed? And I don't really know, but I think I might try and DM more stuff in the future if I get the chance. But it was a nice change of pace. But look, enough of that. If you guys want, I might sit down and do an actual video talking about BORG, because a lot of people have very strong opinions on the matter, especially in the OSR scene. Either people seem to love it or they absolutely despise it, and I mean genuinely despise it. So far I've only played one game and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get another game, but we'll get another one when scheduling is allowed, because of course we're playing with, like, you know, it's me in the UK, then we've got the Serb, and then we've got Americans, and you know, it's just, it's not easy to get everyone together on the same day at the same time. It's not easy. So hopefully in the coming weeks we'll be able to get a session 2, but until then, is that it? I think that is it. As always, check the links right down below. I know this was a very long video, but thank you guys for sticking with us, and we'll see you in the next one.